We are house hunting in the countryside of Japan. Exciting times. I'm Roy, this is Amy.
Hey.
I'm your typical anime weeb. Amy's a certified mountain goat.
Yes.
And we've been living in Tokyo, Japan for the past 4 years, grinding, building our lives here. Now we've finally got remote jobs and we want to kind of make the best of the situation by moving out to the countryside where all the action is and where we actually want to be. The places we're checking out is the well-known Karuizawa and the town next to it called Saku. We'll give you a little bit more explanation about why we chose these places a little bit later.
But first, we're going to show you, well, we went and saw 7 different houses out in the countryside the other weekend. What we are looking for is a 3 LDK. Our budget is around 160,000 yen and we are looking for a house, not an apartment. We're going to show 5 of the best ones that we saw. So let's get into the first one. So the very first one that we saw on Saturday, we actually weren't planning to see. It was just a last minute addition because it hadn't even been finished being built when we went there. This one kind of hit all of the points that we were looking for. It was a 3 LDK, 165,000 yen per month to rent, and it was around 92 meters squared. So the outside was pretty modern looking. It sat next to an older house, and on the other side there was a vegetable garden. And then the inside was all wooden features, which we really liked. It kind of felt like a log house, but modern. What we really liked about the layout was it was actually flipped. So the first floor had 2 bedrooms, bathroom, and like the washing machine area. And then up on the second floor was where the kitchen, dining, and living was, as well as 1 bedroom. This was really cool because working from home, we're probably going to be using the living areas and maybe that other bedroom that could be made into an office more than, you know, the bedrooms and the bathroom and whatnot. So it was nice that the area where you're going to be looking out and having the nice views and sunlight was the living and dining and office area. There was also a loft on the 3rd floor. It was kind of like you could sit up in it, but you couldn't stand. Maybe this could be used for storage, or Roy had the grand idea of maybe we could put bean bags and a theater in there. So this one ticked all the boxes, including it was south facing, it had nice views and lots of light. The only thing was that it didn't have that much storage. It didn't have any built-in closets or anything like that. Location-wise, this first one was also super good because it was only an 8-minute walk from Saku Station, which is the main train station in the city of Saku, which is also serviced by a Shinkansen. So this is really important for us because we did talk about remote work before, and Roy is really lucky in that he'll be able to do completely remote work. But for my job, which is a video producer for a media tourism company in Japan, I will need to commute into Tokyo probably about 3 times a month on the Shinkansen. So that is something we need to think about, being relatively close to a train station. It also is just really close to like all of the shops, all the big malls. So yes, very convenient.
Moving on to the next place. A little bit more expensive than the previous, sitting at 180,000. It was a little bit smaller than the previous, sitting at 84 square meters. And it was a 3 LDK, so the same as the previous, but this time we're going back to the standard layout of the kitchen, living, and dining on the 1st floor, and the main bedrooms being on the 2nd floor. An interesting feature this one had was a wooden deck out the front, which was kind of nice. We could imagine ourselves having kind of coffee or breakfast sitting on the deck in the cool mornings or something like that. And it also had car parks for 2 car spaces. In fact, all of the places we looked at this weekend all came with car parks. Some extra features about this place is that it was south facing, just like the previous property, but it was a little bit darker for some reason. Less sunlight was coming in. Although this place did have dedicated room for closets and storage, which was kind of nice. But then another negative was that it was actually a little bit older than the previous, and you can kind of tell with some of the amenities like the kitchen or the bathroom, etc. Another small point is that when we were viewing, there was some kind of construction stuff happening inside, some kind of renos. It was just a little bit messy, a little bit dirty in places. Now the location of this place is really interesting. It's not in Sakushi like the previous, it's now in Karuizawa. Some of you might already know this area because it's a famous branded resort town where a bunch of rich people from Tokyo come and have their holiday stay houses in the hotter months to keep a little bit cooler. It's a really nice place for like tourism. There's lovely cafes and places to hang out and great shopping, etc. But what happened during our touring of these places was that the real estate agents were really nice and transparent, and they clued us in that actually Karuizawa is maybe not that great of a place to live. Just before I said it's a little bit cooler, but it also gets a lot of mist and dampness. So what happens is that your place is much more susceptible to like mold. And we heard this from multiple real estate agents, and we've also been warned by multiple friends. So that's something that we really had to consider. Also, because it's this super duper famous place, all of the highways coming into the area just actually get locked down during the popular tourism periods. And also what the real estate agents kind of clued us into was that the amenities for living, kind of like hospitals and shops, etc., were just not as convenient as in other cities. So thanks to these guys' great recommendation, we really started to get a better understanding of the areas, and actually we started to lean more towards Saku. Maybe this is the better place to live, while Karuizawa might be a better place just to check out every now and again.
So that was basically the first two properties that we saw on Saturday. And then after that, we went to a cafe and we wrote down all of our thoughts on the listing papers that we got. We would wanted to make sure we remembered everything. But as you can see, the cafes, well, there's definitely nice cafes in both places. And so yeah, that was Saturday. And then moving on to Sunday, we had 3 more to see. Well, 3 that we will show you guys. And at this point, it's probably good to talk about like the process a little bit for applying to go and view these listings. We had been told by a lot of friends, foreigner friends, starting the process of looking at rental properties, you know, like, oh, don't get your hopes up too much. There's a lot of places that are just gonna say no straight away because you are foreigners. It happens. Luckily, touch wood, we haven't had any issues yet. I don't know exactly why that is, but basically to find rental properties in Japan, probably like most countries, there's kind of like the big main websites where it'll have all of the listings from different real estate agents, and you can apply through there to have a viewing of those places. We didn't do that though. We went and found like the websites of the actual real estate agents in the area, and we sent them emails directly in Japanese, basically introducing ourselves and saying like, could we please look at these listings that your real estate agent has. Another thing is maybe going out to the countryside, there's not as much demand as in Tokyo, so potentially, especially for these like slightly higher priced ones for the countryside, they just can't afford to say no, even though we are foreigners.
Just a theory. Just
a theory. So anyway, so basically, yeah, everything has been going well until now. So
until now?
Oh, what I meant to say is like, it's still going well. So on Sunday, we actually had a couple to look at from the Karuizawa area. And as Roy said, we already had some reservations now about Karuizawa, but we're still interested to see what they were like. So the third one was a 2 LDK this time. So not 3, but 2 LDK. It was the most expensive that we saw this weekend at 190,000 yen. And it was about 70 meters squared, so also a little bit smaller. This was the only one that we saw though that was across 1 floor. And I mean, the inside was really nice. It had this kind of wooden feel again, and it was nicely renovated, like the kitchen area and the bar looked really lovely. One thing was that the rooms were both tatami, and we're not quite sure whether we want to go with tatami rooms. We've never had to deal with that before, and we're not sure about the upkeep and whatnot. So that was potentially a con for us. The bathroom area was nice, simple, just like the others. And it did have a nice deck outside and, you know, really nicely surrounded just by the forest. That was lovely. However, this one was quite a bit older than the first 2. I think it was in 1980s it was built. And the thing that we've discovered about Japanese homes is those older ones don't have any insulation whatsoever. Maybe if they've been built within the past 15 years, the newer ones will, but these older ones don't have any insulation. So the day we went and looked, it was probably like -2 degrees out, and it felt colder inside than it did outside. So we kind of felt, while these older ones, like this third one that we're looking at now, is very cute, potentially it's not that great for living. And as I said, the location of this one was in Karuizawa, and also there's a lot of second homes in Karuizawa, and this was in one of those areas. And as a result, the roads aren't necessarily that well maintained because people aren't like living there full time. So it was a little dodgy driving in there. Not gonna lie, there was like snow everywhere, mud and gravel everywhere. So it just potentially wasn't like, while it was beautiful in the forest, it was maybe not the best access.
Property number 4, 160,000, 3 LDK, sitting at 86 square meters. This place was in a similar location to the previous one. So the first thing we noticed is, oh God, it has the exact same accessibility issues with knee-deep potholes and shoulder-high snow in winter. So
also, should we just mention that we asked the real estate agent who clears these small roads going in there, and she said, oh, the residents. I was like, oh goodness, okay.
So that was a bit of a shock. This place again was really, really cute. It had this kind of wooden log cabin feeling out in the kind of peaceful forestry area. It was a slightly older property, however. It looks like it was from 1983, and you could kind of tell if you had a keen eye. You could see a bunch of damages around the place to the wood. I did very, very much love the big, wide master bedroom on the second floor with this kind of feature shelf. It looked really, really cool, and I could imagine you'd get a good breeze through the really big windows up the top there. And on the first floor, you can see that there's, again, another wonderful deck that we can spend beautiful mornings on, having coffee and breakfast and whatnot. There's also the dining and the kitchen and the bathroom and all that stuff. Walking into the first floor, you come to the dining room. Again, the house is facing south, so it gets a lot of sun, which was really nice. Also on the first floor was a kind of separate kitchen and bathroom area, and on each side of the dining room was 2 tatami rooms. Again, we weren't quite sure how we were going to incorporate tatami rooms into the way we kind of wanted to live, especially with bed setups and stuff like that, because we really, sleeping on futons was not in our plan. One extra piece from this property, there was this big outdoor locker storage area, which we thought would be really fantastic for us because we have these big bulky snowboards that we need to store all throughout the summer season, as well as all of our outdoor climbing equipment and stuff like that. It's really piling up, and our camping gear, right? It's really piling up, so having this dedicated storage area outside was like really, really nice.
So the 5th place that we saw was the last one on the Sunday, and it was actually the one that from the listing we were most excited to see. It was a 2 LDK, it was around 90 meters squared and 150,000 yen per month. Even though it was a 2 LDK, and we're hoping for a 3 LDK because we want a bedroom for ourselves, a guest bedroom, hopefully so family and friends from Australia can come over and stay, and then the 3rd bedroom for an office. So this one didn't quite hit that criteria, but we hoped there was like kind of a space, a free space upstairs where we could use as an office. So we arrived at this one, and basically on the bottom floor you have the kitchen, the dining and the living, and there was also this really lovely big deck and kind of a yard out the side there. And we're really keen on that deck as well, just like the other ones. We're like, yes, we can see ourselves hanging out on this deck. Like a good deck.
Bro, stop.
Oh, moving on. There was also the bathroom and the toilet downstairs. The toilet was separate from the shower and the bath, as has been the case for most of these places. The style was a little bit different. It had been renovated. I guess the style was where we were feeling a little like, oh, we're not sure actually if we're super vibing with this. It was like very pink. So also on the first floor there was 1 bedroom as well, and it had a really lovely walk-in closet. Another lovely feature of this place was that it had floor heating. I don't think any of the other ones had that, so that was nice. Then going up to the 2nd floor, there was kind of a free space, they called it, on the landing, and then there was 1 bedroom upstairs as well, again with a nice built-in closet. This one really checked all the boxes in terms of it was south facing, it had so much storage, including outdoor storage, which, as Roy said, we would love to put all of our camping and outdoor gear in. However, we were honestly just not vibing so much with the design. We were kind of like, the real estate agent also was maybe not explaining things as much as the other ones had. One other thing was that the free space up on the second floor, where we thought, oh, maybe we could put desks here and work. Once we saw it in real life, we were like, oh, actually maybe that wouldn't work so well. So that's the 5 best properties that we saw on the weekend. We are not really sure what we're going to do yet. We have a lot of thinking to do. But one really good thing is we came away from the weekend going, yes, this is the area we want to live. It was fabulous, honestly. Like on dusk, we were driving and you could see the Northern Alps in the distance. Bloody brilliant.
360-degree views of mountains, a volcano.
An active volcano. Maybe that's not so good, but
Yeah.
Mount Asama, we did a hike there last year. Very beautiful. So yeah, we were like, this is where we're gonna live, but we've just gotta kind of think more and decide which one we're going to go with.
So if you want to see how this all kind of pans out, please do hit subscribe and come along on this journey with us. Also, please help us out in the comments. There is a lot to think about, and I'm sure there's things that we're just passing over. So please, in the comments, let us know your thoughts.
See ya in the next one. Bye.
Bye.